Snap.
Everyone died. The end.
All right.
Welcome, flashbacks galore, assorted aliens, and evil long-lost brothers to this, the 299th episode of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 27th of March, 2019, and featuring Torchwood, Fragments and Exit Wounds, written by Chris Chibnall and starring John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness, Eve Miles as Gwen Cooper, Bern Gorman as Owen Harper, Naoko Mori as Toshiko Sato, Gareth David Lloyd as Ianto Jones, and James Marsters as Captain John Hart. Almost got John and Jack confused. I am your host for the evening, Randy Ronson McCulloch, and with me on the panel tonight is our technical director, Mad Matt Winchell,
I'm drinking pitch black today.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan,
In the movie Titanic, there's a boat named Titanic.
and Thomas Fireheart.
Bill might not be here, but we still have at least someone who's bald on here tonight.
Bill
Oh.
Sylvia the Man in Black is not going to be here tonight due to schoolwork.
Yes, apparently he's
And,
been overladen.
You know, I am so tempted just to say, fuck it, I'm the host now. I'm your host now, Bill.
Yes.
Deal with
All
it.
your base are belong to us.
So how's everybody's week been?
Not too bad.
Outside of a really shite morning yesterday, I've been fine.
So Erin has spent the last week buying upgrades for her computer.
Basically, from what I've been hearing, yeah.
Step one was purchase of a 4 terabyte hard drive. And then
All the
we had to
space.
get what? All the space. And
Yes.
then we had to get a new cable. But that's running fine. She still has her old 500 gig drive as basically the operating system.
Fair
and
enough.
then the 4 terabyte drive is now D drive storage. And I still got her her DVD drive to work too, so that's cool. And then today she bought an additional 8 gigs of RAM, which I put in and now works.
Sweetness.
So she's working with 16 gig of RAM, 4 terabyte drive, and she's now eyeballing graphics cards.
So she's just about caught up to me. Now she's looking at the graphics card to try and surpass me. Damn you, Aaron! I just got here!
Oh yeah, we were looking at the 1070 Ti's.
I like my new card, by the way. It's been very fun. I've actually been able to get streams to work without the pixelation now.
She's also eyeballing a completely new computer with like an i9 processor in it. And
That's what I
she's-
have in mind. It's an older i9, but it's still an i9.
Yeah, well, hers is an i5, so
That would also be part of what would help her out a bit.
yeah, and it had like a terabyte solid state drive in it and everything.
Oh, but still makes pricey though. Because
It was, but you know, she's eyeballing it,
Mm-hmm.
and she says if she breaks down and decides to get it, especially since her laptop's not doing so well at the moment, she'll turn her desktop over to me, and I'll hook it up.
You'll have a
somewhere in the bed.
real desktop for the first time in a while, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And she's like, yeah, well, since you put so much work into it,
Might as well.
yeah, it'll be interesting because I've been on laptops since 2012, I think. Since, I left my old apartment. So that's been kind of interesting.
Well, I had acid reflux yesterday morning. That's been like the worst of it so far. It took me half a day to recover. Otherwise, Skyrim's actually been running really well. I've finally got Skyrim to actually run on OBS again.
Mm.
And I think it runs as good, if not better, than when it worked on Action Replay lately. So,
And I have bad news for those of you that have followed our podcast for a long time.
mm,
All maybe 3 people of you. As you know, we frequently got together at the end of August at a convention
Oh.
called GeekCon.
Yeah.
Well, this year GeekCon became financially insoluble and basically went bankrupt. So they will not be holding this year's convention.
the next year's up in the air, but
I
can't say
would not
anything
get
for
my
sure.
hopes up. Judging by previous conventions, generally when a convention stops for a year, it doesn't restart.
Very seldom, if ever, does it come back. The only convention I can think of that stops and starts again is maybe something like BlizzCon. But that's backed up by a fucking game company, so...
Yeah.
So that
And not-
means the annual Unearthly Podcast live show will not be happening.
No.
And we are going to have to think of something to do in its place.
We might just do a what's going to happen next year's week just on its own, then maybe,
Mm-hmm.
as a filler. Unless we need another filler for something else that might pop up. Who knows? We'll see.
Yep.
I mean, like, I'll bring it up after the fact, but there is an idea that I was throwing around that you could have used for a live show that we could do instead.
Mm. We'll have to talk about it off stream sometime with Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I keep saying I'm going to take the host job, this still is technically his podcast.
Yeah.
He's the one that started this.
He started this. He hosts it on his YouTube channel. This is technically also his stream channel as well. When we live host
I
it.
just keep threatening to take the host job because he keeps not showing up.
Then again, he also has a much busier schedule than I think than most of us.
Oh, I have no life. I mean, other than sitting here and reading massive amounts of fan fiction, occasionally playing a video game.
Well,
Noticed
you
you
also
were
go
on
marching off on weekends and Mondays to play games.
Yeah,
Last I
noticed you
heard.
were on Conan Exiles yesterday, Matt.
For a little bit, yeah. I was going to do a review yesterday, but then I got acid reflux and spent half the day just trying to recover. So I'm just like, oh, fuck it, and hopped on Conan for a bit.
Yeah, I think you wound up farming up some iron because I think I tried to go there about 3 minutes after you.
Oh, you didn't check your box outside, did you?
Nope.
Yeah, if you would have checked your box, you would have seen a row of coal and 2 rows of iron.
Anyway, we are not here to talk about gaming. At least
Technically
not
not.
much.
We're here to talk about Doctor Who.
Yes. So on tonight's show, we have news and birthdays. Not a lot of news. There is not a lot of news.
Oh no.
There is virtually nothing for news. Quite a bit of birthdays, though.
Decent amount of birthdays.
I'm not going to have Geek Talk this week, but I should have it next week. Because Aaron and I are going to see Captain Marvel on Saturday. Because I have some food tickets that are going to expire if I don't.
Ah.
Mm.
Okay. I'm
Should be-
actually poking
it's
around
actually
for
funny
people.
'cause-
What were you saying?
It's actually funny because I meant to. I only realized too late that I was like, oh shit, I meant to see the Lego movie on Tuesday, but now it's. But then, like, by the time I remembered that it was like, oh, well, fuck it, too late.
I've heard kind of that was kind of mediocre, but anyway, so after that we don't have Bill here, so we don't have any reviews of Shame.
Shame.
So we'll go straight into our episode summary, our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. So let's get this started. Let's get it started in here. Starting with birthdays, and pretty much right after our last birthday, was the 21st of March, and we have 3 people that had birthdays that day. First of all is Bruno Langley, who played the very short companion Adam in 2005. He joined up at the end of Dalek and was kicked off the TARDIS at the end of The Long Game.
I think he's also made one big finish since then.
He's turned 36. Then, also on the same day, is the birthday of Timothy Dalton.
Yay.
Other than being James Bond, played Rassilon in End of Time in 2009. He turned 73.
So far, best modern wrestler at this point.
Also on the same day is the birthday of Peter Pratt, who played the Master in The Deadly Assassin in 1976. Would have been 96, but died in 1995 at 71. Also posthumous is the 22nd of March and the birthday of Mary Tam, who played Romana, the first Romana, back during the Key to Time series in 1978 to 79. She would have been 69, but died in 2012 at 62. I think we were covering that when it happened.
Yep. I remember what happened. Babel
God,
Color put out a music video. It was depressing.
God, have we actually been doing this for 7 years?
That's amazing.
God. Feeling old now. Anyway, then we skip forward to the 25th of March, and it's the birthday of Patrick Troughton, who played the Doctor from 1967 to 69. He would have been 99, but died in 1987 at the age of 67, and we weren't around when that happened. He also died in America at a convention.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, another posthumous birthday is the birthday of Barry Letts, producer from 1970 to 74, and writer, script editor for a few seasons as well. Would have been 94, but died in 2009 at the age of 84.
That was before the show, sadly.
Yep. So that's all of our birthdays. So happy birthday to Bruno, Timothy, Peter, Mary, Patrick, and Barry. Now we move on to our news, of which we have only Big Finish news.
Yay!
It's been a quiet week here in Lake Doctor Who.
Yeah, you pretty much know it's quiet when even Candy Jar Books doesn't have anything for
Oh
us.
God, I know.
If they don't
There
have a
was,
book
like-
to pimp out, then it's
There
a
was
quiet
like one
week.
thing, but then I realized it was completely an ebook, and I'm like, no, wasn't a candy jar. It was like some company I'd never heard of had produced an ebook PDF, and I'm like, no, that's not newsworthy.
Nope.
Okay, so the start of Torchwood vs. Doctor Who Monsters begins this month in Night of the Fendal. In it, a cheap horror movie maker attempts to recreate the events of Image of the Fendal in the very spot it happened. Anyone tell me why this is a bad idea? Night of the Fendal is available now from Big Finish for £9.99 CD and £7.99 download.
Yeah, that plot
and-
basically sounds like you're asking for trouble.
Mm-hmm. Let's create a recreate the events of a horrible psychic disturbance right in the spot it happens, and let's kidnap girls to do it. I believe, because I think one of the people that is kidnapped is Gwen Cooper.
No, she's apparently willingly doing this.
I'm not too sure about that, but we'll see.
I think she's getting mind robbed though by the end of it, but
Yeah.
she originally starts. I don't know. It sounds like she's talking and she's willingly partaking.
Yeah. Did you listen to the trailer?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I did not because I was kind of busy. Watching tonight's episode.
Yeah, I listened to both trailers before we started.
Okay.
That's part of my setup.
Okay, the latest short trip takes an RPG turn in Doctors and Dragons. In it, a woman with the power to see the system behind the universe quests to save her sister. Person standing in her way, the Doctor. Doctors and Dragons is available now for £2.99 on download only from Big Finish.
I actually want to get that one just because of the gaming references in it.
Yeah. Also, who's the one that does the voice work in this one? Sophie Adrid. It was Ace. Okay.
Is she the one reading it?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's Ace telling us a Dungeons and Dragons story that technically references the Doctor.
Yes. Because this woman's on a quest. The only thing to save her sister is the blood of the last dragon. And who's protecting the last dragon? The Doctor.
A
So,
small
yeah,
little
it's-
man, almost goblin-esque.
Oh God. That's going to be so surreal to me. Considering how much gaming I do. All right, so that's the new releases from Big Finish. Now the coming soon.
Yes. After Torchwood versus Doctor Who Monsters, the Torchwood series will take a step back to the good old days with The Sins of Captain John. 4 stories including The Restored, Escape from Nabaz, Peach Blossom Heights, and Darker Purposes. The Sins of Captain John, out for release in January 2020, is available for pre-order from Big Finish at £28 on CD or £25 download, rising to £35 on CD and £30 on download at general release.
Yeah, we don't know who wrote these episodes. They only gave the episode names for once, which was kind of an eyebrow raiser. But yeah, this is James Marsters going back to do a whole CD's worth of work.
Yay.
God bless him.
And John Barrowman.
Oh, well, it's Torchwood. John Barrowman's going to frickin' be there.
He'll be there if he has to Skype it in.
I mean, you're just like, hey, John, you want to come over here and do some Torchwood? And he'll be there in the freaking recording booth tap dancing naked because he's freaking John Barrowman. Barrowman!
Barrowman! Arr! He'll be there for a bacon sandwich.
No, that'd be Tom Baker.
Bacon too!
All right, so we've got nothing new. There was one other thing that kind of would have qualified as news, but I didn't really have a category for it. And that is the fact that there is a studio that is looking to hire people for the next series of Doctor Who. I mean, not actors, but like behind the scenes stuff. I'm not sure if it's jobs or if it's just like work training.
Interesting. But that would also be very much in the British area.
Yes, it would. It's very much the British area.
So we wouldn't be anywhere near it, and none of us could get our noses in that, so...
Yep.
Door snapshot.
But they're looking for a junior graphic designer, costume, carpenter, floor runner, and TV electrician. And if you're interested, they want you to send their CV, which is basically their equivalent of a resume.
God damn it, Randy, we're missing our calling. We could have totally ran that TV stuff.
To doctorwho.scheme@bbc.co.uk by the 31st of March. So 4 days. Send them your CV, and you might actually wind up working on the next series of Doctor Who.
Also, I wouldn't know where to place this kind of news either. If you've been watching carefully what's going on in Big Finish here, you'll see that there's been a red prompt labeled important information for customers overseas. Basically, Big Finish has been alerting everyone not in Britain that they're going to be changing how they do pricing.
So starting in April 1st, they're actually going to use xe.com at a conversion rate. So yeah, that means that everything that you see here is going to go up about 1.5 times. So yes, the stuff that we were talking about, for example, Night of the Fendel being £7.99 download is going to wind up being probably about $12, maybe 10. But yeah, I'm just wondering if they suddenly realized how much cash they're losing.
That's more or less what it sounded like, is that, oh shit, we've been totally ignoring how much sales we make overseas on our digital stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We could be making a much bigger profit by now.
So yeah, that's going to make it harder for us here to do Big Finish, because it means it's going to be more of a price gouge for us. And since, this podcast is done on the budget of a shoestring.
Yeah, but also I would note on the same coin that we also do tend to look for the big sales when they hit too, so hopefully the sales will still be really decent sales despite the rise in price.
All right, so there's your news. Anybody hear anything from any other sci-fi fantasy coming out at this point?
I am just waiting for Avengers and the Godzilla movie coming up in the next 2 months. Speaking of which, if I can get my reviews in order again for movies, I'm going to be trying to get caught up with the Godzilla franchise, American franchise, next month.
Mm.
Which means I'll have
I would-
reviews for Godzilla 2014 and Kong Skull Island.
You know, we were driving home the other night, and the song Godzilla came on the air, and Aaron was just like, "Matt should be here." Like, I'm pretty sure you've heard the song 150,000
Oh,
times.
it's Blue Oyster Cult. I've heard it a million times. I have it bitch on repeat on my MP3 player. Where is it?
In hindsight, I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't seen any like teaser trailers or any kind of shit like that for episode 9 for Star Wars yet. But I
for
guess
Star
maybe
Wars?
at this point,
I
guess
would
at
expect
this
it to
point
drop
they're
in
just
like
waiting
July.
Until, well, yeah, I guess at this point they're like.
I would be
slowing the hell
surprised if they give
down.
us a teaser like in July, and that'll be our first thing, and then next month we'll get trailer 1, and then a month after that we'll get trailer 2,
Yeah,
and then they'll wait.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll wait till July, but they're probably at least going to wait till May.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would assume July, but it's possible it'll hit sooner.
Yeah, it's at the earliest. It's going to be the beginning of the summer Smash season.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like like at first I was kind of like, wait, wouldn't they have normally at least given us a tease by now? But then it's like, oh wait, they're probably waiting until like Avengers Endgame is out and has been out for a while, so people.
Matter of fact,
can,
that's probably
like,
what they're waiting for too. Is they'll
pay
probably staple that
attention.
right into the opening, and that's when they'll release the trailer on the web.
Mm. At the same time, I guess this is a lot better than what they were like with Force Awakens, which I'm pretty sure was getting trailers and teasers and that like a year out.
Yeah, basically.
So they've decided to scale it back.
So we are starting to see casualties from the Disney-Fox merger already.
Oh.
Yes, the Gambit movie that was supposed to be coming out is now on hold.
I never expected that to keep going anyway.
Yeah.
To be honest. If it wasn't already in production, it wasn't going to really... It was likely to just end up in development hell.
Yeah. And if they lose whoever if they even have a director, if the director's just like, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to do other shit, then they'll probably just can it.
And of course, now the MCU guys are now looking at having all this stuff and going, fuck, can we actually integrate any of this?
They can. They have to be very careful about it, though.
It's like the timelines don't add up. Magneto's all wrong. Scarlet Witch's powers are different. How the fuck are we going to explain all this?
Yeah, I think literally it's so funny because like the X-Men is gonna actually have to take them a while to think through. The Fantastic Four will be easy as hell.
Oh yeah, because you don't want to try to integrate the Fantastic Four. You want to reboot it again.
Yeah.
So here's my theory, by the way, on this. I got a good one for you. So how they're going to reintroduce all the mutants and stuff is going to be Endgame. Endgame's going to retcon the hell out of shit. Easily. Can easily do it. Because there's going to be people fighting over that gauntlet, I guarantee it.
Yeah, I know. My only concern about that is Endgame was filmed well ahead of the merger, so I don't think they'll...
Yeah, so it wouldn't have been legally cleared to necessarily start with that shit, even though it's released after.
I wouldn't hold my breath either way on that. That's a 50-50 chance that they were or weren't sure.
Okay, so from what I've heard thus far, from the Fox movies, X-Men Dark Phoenix is going to be the last X-Men movie.
From Fox, yes.
So they've just got rid of New Mutants entirely.
New Mutants might continue, but it has to impress the hell out of the Disney execs. But it'll be, if so, that'll be the last bit for the franchise's current cast.
Yeah.
So what's probably going to happen is Marvel's going to sit on the X-Men for like 4, 5, 6 years, and then
Okay.
reboot.
Like that's actually the funny thing. I want them to wait. I don't want them to rush it in. Like with Spider-Man, okay, that made sense. They were able to get a deal with Sony. You would probably go as quick as you could with Spider-Man, but like with the X-Men at least, I want them to like
Give
get
it a moment
the-
to breathe and take a break.
Yeah.
The
And
only
like
reason,
figure out how the hell you're gonna explain where mutants came from.
the only thing that might change their mind on that is Hugh Jackman.
I think he's actually just said he's outright done now. Like he's not.
I thought he
Gonna
still had that
bother
thing that,
coming
that
back.
that he if he was in an Avengers movie, he'd come back.
Well,
I
it's
don't know
like,
about that.
yeah, but that'd be one movie, and then you'd have to recast anyway. So it's like, eh.
Yeah, what would be the
But I
point if
think,
you have to
like-
recast him right away?
Yeah, I think it's been long enough since that he's just like, nah, I'm just done.
Only thing
Logan
that
was the perfect send off anyway.
it was. It's not a happy movie, but it's a good movie.
Mm.
The only thing that they're talking about going forward, from the current stuff is Deadpool.
Yes, for sure.
Well,
Deadpool
yeah,
is
that's-
making it because they looked at what they did with Deadpool and went, "Yes, you actually did a good job there. Let's keep that."
Mm. Plus, it helps that Deadpool like makes nods to the
Everybody
other
and everything,
movies
yeah.
around it, but is basically its own continuity.
Well, that's because it's because frickin' Wade breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah,
Like-
and I actually can remember people like saying like of all the stuff that could actually cross over without having to reboot it, Deadpool is like the one thing you can get away with just because he breaks a fourth wall.
I just want him. I just want him to start cameoing in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I would have loved it if the Avengers movie had them sitting down trying to talk about how to deal with this, and Deadpool comes in the back and starts using the microwave in their meeting room to heat up a chimichanga. Or just something like that. He doesn't even really interact with them. You just see him in the background.
Mm-hmm.
God, oh my god. Would it actually be really funny is like, let's say, it wouldn't happen in Far From Home because that's a bit too, like, that's already in the can, that's done. But if in the next Spider-Man movie he goes for his outfit and he just can't find it, and then like in the next Deadpool movie there's a scene where Deadpool stole it.
Well, that is, by the way, not Far From Home, but the one after that they're thinking might actually be a crossover. Spidey Pool.
That is the only, I've said it before, but that's the only way I would accept PG Deadpool outside of Once Upon a Deadpool. Is like putting him in an environment where he kind of has to.
Thinking all that, I
Spidey,
can't
that'd be
swear
great.
anymore. Why am I in this movie anyways? Oh, hi, Peter.
Well, I'm also eagerly waiting for Detective Pikachu to see Ryan Reynolds' humor done in a PG environment. Because that's going to be interesting. Because have you watched the trailers for that?
You're cute. Pika Pika. Pika, yeah, you're cute too. Pika Pika. See, kid, they don't understand me.
Just that whole bit. I'm watching this and I'm like, oh my god, it's Pikapool. Oh dear god.
It's Pikapool, and only one kid can hear him.
Oh.
It's still funny because so many people were still disappointed that they wanted Danny DeVito.
I'm sorry, Dan. I wouldn't be surprised if Danny Vito would hear about this and go, "What the hell's a Pikachu?"
Oh, yeah, just think about it. I mean, think about the voice actors they could have gotten to play Pikachu. Could you imagine James Earl Jones as Pikachu? It would be the ultimate moment of, what the hell?
I think it'd better be a better Psyduck.
Brian Blessed as Jigglypuff.
This is my indoor singing voice.
just going there is just so disturbing. But yeah, just imagining the voices they could have gotten. And they wound up with frickin' Ryan Reynolds, and he's basically doing Deadpool, so I'm gonna watch that movie and be laughing for most of it. Because I'm going to close my eyes at one point and imagine it's Deadpool saying the lines.
I would honestly be surprised if there isn't some vague reference to Deadpool somewhere. Even if it's just like a pin or a poster or something.
Like the quickest of quick mentions without being direct about it, or just something hanging in the background. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like Pikachu just getting like red, white, and black like splattered over him somehow.
Get this off me.
Just vaguely gets splashed with something that makes it look like he's wearing the Deadpool mask for a moment.
Yeah.
All right. So, shall we get this over with?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose. The stopwatch.
All
right. Okay.
And Thomas, you are up to bat.
Thankfully, I took notes yesterday because I wasn't paying as much attention today.
Alrighty.
But...
Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, begin.
Okay, in Fragments, we start with Tosh, Jack, Yanto, and Owen investigating a building because there's some sort of disturbance going on. They think there's aliens in there or something. Turns out to be bombs. The bombs go off, and as they're being pulled out of the rubble, and Gwen had overslept or something, and she's coming now and she's helping them, we get flashbacks to how each of them joined Torchwood, and the episode ends with us finding out that John Hart was actually behind the explosions, and that he has some sort of thing to do with Jack's brother Gray, who we saw 5-6 episodes ago.
Heard mention of at the beginning of the season. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we move through to Exit Wounds, where it turns out that John Hart is fucking with the rift somehow. So while everyone else is going to deal with what's happening around the city, Jack goes back to Torchwood HQ to confront John, who ends up just mowing him down with guns, and then ties him up and tries to make vague excuses as to why he's doing what he's doing, and then drags Jack up to the roof of some building somewhere, I forget exactly where, and blows up a bunch of some strategic spots in the city that end up cutting the power to either the city as a whole or just a lot of stuff, especially a nuclear power station. And they seemingly on cue go into the rift, John and Jack, and end up in Cardiff in 27 AD, where we run into Gray, and it turns out that he was behind all of this and buries Jack under what would be the foundations of Cardiff. Meanwhile, in current day, Gwen is basically rallying the troops to try and sort out everything that's going on. Gray and John both turn back up in modern day, and while they're trying to figure stuff out, Gray sets off some kind of sets something off anyway, some sort of friggin' I'm blanking on the word, but he sets something off that triggers the Weevils to just come out en masse from the sewers and start just running amok and killing everyone in sight. However, eventually, that is able to be rectified by John later. Yanto and I don't really remember what happens to you. Oh, that's it. Yanto manages to come back with Tosh, and Tosh is trying to help Owen, because Owen's gone to the nuclear plant to try and sort it out, but can't seem to do anything. Just as they're sort of trying to figure it out, Gray shoots Tosh and basically just leaves her to die, which allows her to help Owen by getting back to the little device she has to try and turn the power back on to the nuclear power station. Yanto, Gwen, and John are all stuck in friggin' cells by Gray, who ends up finding out that this whole time Jack has technically been in the morgue because someone found him in 1901 and have basically put him in cold storage since, with the idea of him coming out at this time. He forgives Gray for everything that happened, but Gray doesn't, so Jack basically just chloroforms him to knock him out. John manages to reverse the signal that Gray was sending out, and it makes all the weevils go away. Tosh is able to help Owen enough. However, Owen gets locked in the chamber where all the fallout or whatever of the
coolant.
nuclear power station, the coolant was going to be filtered into, and at first he kind of freaks out, but is able to reassure Tosh that it's going to be fine and accepts his death. When Jack finds Tosh and everyone starts coming around her, and she basically dies in Jack's arms. Jack puts Gray in storage, has a bit of a goodbye with John Hart, who apologizes for everything that happened before leaving. And as the crew are filling in and logging out for the final time for Owen and Tosh, it is revealed that Tosh had basically made a "if I die, you'll see this" video where she thanks Jack for everything and confesses her love to Owen, who will never hear it. And Gwen basically has a moment of just wanting to give it up, but Jack reassures them that they will be able to move on after this, and that's where we end.
All right.
6 minutes 49 seconds.
And the bulk of that was exit wounds, because Fragments is so easy to sum up.
Yeah, you started getting lost halfway through Exit Wounds. I'm like, I want to help, but it's not my turn.
So let's talk about what we liked about the episode overall.
Randy, is your microphone up?
Yes, it is. Thank you. I put it up because I was having some hiccups. I mean, actual hiccups. During the summary, so I put it up so you wouldn't hear me go in the middle of it. Anyway, so let's talk about what we liked about the episode overall. And Tim, you are first.
Oh boy, I get to be first. Hooray!
Actually, really quick question. Are we talking about both episodes at the same time?
Yes. Well, actually, we got time. We can kind of separate them out if we want. Our ratings will be combined, but we can talk about... Let's talk about Fragments first, then.
Okay, Fragments. What I liked about this episode were I really liked the insights into Tasha's character background, like her story. Most of all, in Fragments was my favorite part. Not scene, but in general.
Okay. What about Exit Wounds?
Oh,
Exit.
Okay. Yes, Tim?
Exit Wounds. I really liked James Marsters' performance. Sort of like, and the way he shifts from like you. It comes off as believable that he would be doing this of his own free will and like out of things, but then like when he shifts, like he's been coerced into doing everything, it still comes off as natural, I think, and that's owes to Marster's acting, I think.
All right. Well, yeah, Marsters is really good at playing villains. I mean, he's made a
Yeah.
career out of it. He was Spike, and Spike was a villain turned into a hero for the run of Buffy and Angel. And then he did Brainiac on Smallville, which was a straight-out villain role. So if anyone knows how to play evil...
Yep. And who can forget Dragon Ball Evolution?
He was the best thing about that poor movie.
All right.
There's nothing he could do
Thomas.
to save that one.
Yeah, I'm moving on because I don't talk about Dragon Ball Evolution. So what did you like about Fragments?
Even though it's a bit lazy, I just like the general idea of the episode of us finding out how everyone joined Torchwood and finally getting to see how Jack himself joined. Which is funny because it almost doesn't seem as straightforward as it like it never even occurred to me before watching that episode like exactly how he joined Torchwood. I thought he just kind of, weird as it is, I thought he just kind of showed up one day and was like, "Hey, I'm taking over this now." So it's funny to think that it's like, oh, okay, no, completely different. Of course, I feel like Owens could have probably explained his whole attitude in series 1 a bit more, but other than that, it was nice seeing like their lives prior to Cardiff Torchwood anyway.
All right. So what about Exit Wounds?
Honestly, I'm pretty much just gonna have to go with Tim. Because like the character of John Hart generally was like, it was the best thing about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and coming back to this, it is one of those things where the way he's playing it is clearly this is someone who's unhinged anyway. So you could, as Tim was saying, you could buy that he was doing this without being forced to do it, but at the same time, when you find out that he is being forced to do it, it also makes total sense. Without seeming like forced that it had to be someone else behind it. And God knows this is a damn better finale than End of Days. And I scored that pretty high, but this is like way, way better a finale.
All right. So Matt, how about you?
Going with
What did you
Fragments
like
first.
in general on Fragments? Yes.
What in general on Fragments? I liked that immediately what we're starting off with this two-parter is the teamwork method. Gwen was accidentally late, but that's actually to their benefit. She shows up when they need her, and she starts saving the day. If they first get Jack out of there, they try to get gosh, my brain is frazzling on names again. I hate this every time. They try to get Toshiko out. She's pinned underneath the pillar. They have to get Yanto out, and then they can finally get Toshiko out. And while they're getting Toshiko out, they also very carefully have to get Owen out because he's literally hanging underneath a window that could splinter and like decapitate him. And being that he's kind of unkillable, pseudo sorta at the moment, that would just make so many fucking issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just a really unique kind of. The team works together even if it's dysfunctional. They have their moments of clarity and getting shit done.
Okay.
That, and on top of everyone else's, I really liked the whole flashback stuff too.
Okay.
Then it goes to Exit Wounds. Everyone's all about that John Hart stuff, and yes, he was good. But let's see something else. Thing I liked about Exit Wounds is that we continue that team motif, and we see where that ends up with a lot of people. Owen is having a really rough time of it this half of the second season, and he basically goes to solve like the biggest issue that could kill anybody, and he's willing to possibly accept it. As a matter of fact, Tosh, she's probably the most unfortunate character of all of them. She's getting things done, but then at the last second, she just gets the bad end of the stick. Which also costs us Owen as well. Gwen is on top of it until Gray suddenly pulls out a trick. Same with Yanto, and Jack pulls the biggest surprise caper on everybody by getting pulled back into the ancient history, getting buried alive, and secreting himself back into place just in time to save everybody, or as many people as he can. Just a huge thing, one at a time, and they just slowly lay those bricks down for you just as you need them in the story.
All right. So I guess it's me. So what I liked about Fragments is the feeling of desperation, I think. You know, you had Tosh trapped under the rubble. You had Owen a second from being sliced and diced.
Mm-hmm.
You get the feeling that, you know, you're really getting the finale feeling during that. It's, you know, everything's up to the wire. They don't know what's going on, but they know it's not good, and everything works well in that. What I liked about Exit Wounds in particular was how they dealt with the end of Owen and Tosh. It really, it actually still affects me emotionally. You know, and I mean, this came out, what, 10 years ago?
Just about.
Yeah.
Over 10 years ago, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm still watching these characters, you know, as they're going down, where, you know, Tosh is dying from gunshot, and Owen's trapped in there with the radiation about to come in, and it's just like, and them just having that moment and talking about shit, and it's just like, oh God.
And did you catch that little reference in there?
The reference to way back to Aliens of London, yes.
Yeah. Is that the pig incident? Yeah.
See, I was going to mention that as my favorite scene, but God damn it, Matt. But yeah, it was just one of those things that it's just the feeling was there.
Mm-hmm. Eve Miles wasn't the only one that got to act for a change.
Yes. All right. So what didn't we like? Tim.
Well, with Fragments, there wasn't really anything I didn't like, but I did have like some questions that I thought the flashbacks, particularly Yanto's and Owen's, raised some minor continuity issues. I think with like the not like chronologically, but character-wise. Because I was trying to think of, like, so Yanto, when he was first introduced in, like, the first episode of Torchwood, was, like, this, like, like go to like a butler type, servant type, cleaner guy, like who could like just sort of like blend into the background, and
He answered the door and got the coffee.
yeah, but and then it's revealed that he petitioned to be on Torchwood, and those two things don't quite mesh up.
Well, it does and it doesn't, because I think he was. The thing about the Ianto flashback is I don't think it was long before Gwen joined. Like a matter of a couple of months.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
At least within a year.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember the fact that Ianto comes following the fall of Torchwood 1, Canary Wharf. Which, as of the point of the beginning of Torchwood, happened a mere months ago.
So this is basically him sitting at the front of the only Torchwood he can easily find, going, pretty please.
Mm-hmm. So he did all this stuff for Jack to even accept him, but then Jack put him in the front and made him make the coffee and answer the door.
Which I guess is also like, well, wait a minute, shouldn't he be a bit more competent in Series 1 then? Because he seems like someone who was given a desk job because they can't do anything, but if he was working for a previous Torchwood, was it that he wasn't there for long?
It's the fact that Jack didn't 100% trust him. Because of because he knew what a bitch Yvette Hartman was and what she had her people do. So
he obviously didn't trust Ianto right away, so he's just sitting there keeping an eye on Ianto, making sure he doesn't mess anything up. Is basically what the idea is.
Yep. And then Ianto eventually had to prove himself, only, I'm surprised he didn't get himself retconned after the whole Cyberwoman incident. But yeah. And by the way, I will chime in with what I didn't like because it kind of relates to that. And on Exit Wound or on Fragments, and that's the fact that I wish the flashbacks had been in chronological order. Just
that
to
would have
give
helped
us
a little bit.
That would have given us a set of setting it up, so we knew, what that is, instead of trying to figure out where it took place in the timeline.
Actually, I think they were, because it seemed
they weren't. Because Owens was the last.
Owens was the last, and he was there, I think, before. Before Tosh.
Now that I think about it, they mention Owen in.
Actually, they mentioned Owen and Ianto's too. So he was there before
Ianto's
either of
was
them,
the
possibly.
Most recent,
Yeah, so it was literally Tosh, Ianto, Susie, Tosh, Owen, Susie, and then Ianto.
Yeah.
And then Gwen,
So they're mostly in order. They start off in order, and then it's like suddenly it takes a sharp turn, and it's like they screw up the order of the last two.
Yep, and it throws you off the track a little bit. It's like, wait, what?
That's also because Tosh didn't immediately join right away. She had to sit around for apparently a couple years before she could get out, due to Jack helping.
Yep. All right. So that's what you didn't like about Fragments. What about Exit Wounds?
Exit Wounds, I thought the actor playing Gray was terrible.
I'll give you that.
Like his delivery of his lines was flat and uninspired, and
sometimes I think he was dubbed.
And his dialogue was not. He was like, "The creatures, they tortured me, and now I'm evil." Like evil because I blame you because you let go of my hand. And you will suffer. Like
someone that totally isn't working with like 12-year-old logic. And
the thing is, he's kind of sandwiched in there as the bad guy. It's not really because he kind of comes out of left field, and it's like, we spent all our money getting James Marsters. So we're just going to hire this guy out of acting school.
Yeah, because like you would think that this guy with all the shit that he's been through would be a hell of a lot more manic than this. Like this is a guy who's been tortured most of his life up to this point, so it's like, why the fuck is he so
Yeah, by the way,
reserved?
I looked
You
this
would
guy
think he'd
up to
be,
see what the
I
hell
don't
he's
know.
done, and as far as I can tell, he's done nothing of note to me.
Mm. I think the only reason they hired this guy is he looks vaguely like John Barrowman.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's
Probably.
it.
I
And
guess so. I almost want to think that given this is an English actor, it also might have been another one of those things where you probably should have just got someone who was born in the US to do this role, so they didn't have to worry about acting, but also having to do the accent at the same time. Because I've noticed that does fuck a lot of people up.
yeah, it really. And if you're not good at accents in particular, you got to spend all your time worrying about your accent so you don't do emotes. If you got
Yeah.
somebody who can just throw out accents, like me or
Mm.
Matt, you can do that and emote.
Aye, lad.
Mm.
But um,
Of course, our range on accents varying from person to person.
I'm actually getting pretty good at doing a whole range of stuff. Working on my Russian right now.
Yeah, mine would make a bad German accent blush.
And the thing is, I think the Russian accent I'm listening to is a fake Russian accent anyway.
That probably doesn't
But
help either.
Yeah, but I'm still working on it.
Mm.
I knew a couple of people from Russia, so I vaguely remember their accents. I went to school with one.
Mhm.
I had a crush on her, if I recall. She was an exchange. I think she was the daughter or of somebody who was like a professor or something at the university.
Mm.
Was but and came in. She was like right out of St. Petersburg, and she was in like my biology class, and it was one of those people you had the high school crush on. Come on, we all had them, right?
I had at least 2 or 3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I thought her accent made her sound sexy. Um. Anyway. Yeah, I don't think he was the greatest actor, and if he's done virtually nothing before or since, yeah.
He's done a number of movies, but I don't think he's been in many major roles in any of them.
Yeah, it's just a bit actor.
Kind of almost seems that way.
All right. So Thomas, how about you? What did you dislike?
As far as fragments go, as I sort of mentioned earlier, it's just like some of them, at the very least, with Owen's backstory, while I could kind of get a bit of why he's like so detached from people because he lost this woman and all that. At the same time, it's like I feel like they could have gone a bit. Like I almost kind of wish this explained his attitude throughout series one a bit more. But like, and that's basically all I've got. Even that's kind of a nitpick because it's just like
I think just in
otherwise
the
it's
time in between, he
just
got jaded and started abusing some of those alien artifacts, you know?
yeah.
That's just my thought on it. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's you got to remember that it's X amount of years later for Owen.
Yeah.
That probably happened around like 2002, 2003, and we
Hmm.
don't catch up with Owen until 2007. So
Yeah.
had about 4 years in which to kick it and basically lose himself.
Hmm.
And he's pretty badly lost by the time we meet him.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
And with Exit Wounds, yeah, I'm pretty much gonna have to agree with the whole Grey stuff, but I guess to just be slightly different rather than just going about the actor. It also kind of seems like a bit much for it to necessarily be Grey behind all of this. Like, at the same time, like, I don't know, maybe if the actor was better it'd be more justified, but it almost feels like you could probably just have this all be John Hart doing all this of his own free will, or at least a different character forcing him to do this. And it would still work. I mean, I don't know who you'd throw in there, but or at least I feel like actually, you know what? The fact that Grey was only hinted like once prior
Yeah, there
is
was
like,
no.
okay, we need a bit more mentioning of this dude just so, because like there's an entire episode where suddenly, oh, he's got that memory back that he's buried deep down in his subconscious, and then suddenly it's like, well, we won't find out, and like we won't get a follow up on that until the end of the series.
Yeah, that was it. It wasn't seeded well.
Mm.
I mean, Russell T Davies was like the master of seeding stuff. A little bit of reference in every episode, and Chibnall not so much.
Mm.
He would like drop one hint, maybe another hint, and then it wouldn't come up until the end. And Moffat wasn't much better.
No.
He did a few things okay, but then yeah, he got that bad too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I will grant them that yes, it's a lot of work to seed through every single episode.
Mm.
But it's hard work well spent, though, to make everything tie together properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just pointing out that yeah, it is it's a lot of work, so it's also you got to be pretty damn talented.
Mm.
So does that bring it
But
to me?
I will grant you that it is not well seeded. Yes, Matt, it's up to you. What didn't you like about Fragments?
Fragments. The one thing I will say that I was at least a little bit of a minor complaint is that because of doing all the flashbacks, we really didn't get any advancement of plot. Like, we spent a whole bunch of time backtracking this stuff that would have been nice to know sooner before we finally catching up with them getting out of the rubble. That being said, it's about time they finally did it, but I would have expected that to have happened sooner.
I would have expected it to happen like last season.
Yeah.
I would have expected like each particular character to have their own story arc in which their recruiting flashback was shown part of it instead of having them all in one episode.
Mm-hmm. And then least favorite thing about Exit Wounds. Trying to think. Outside of the elephant in the room, which has been named twice. I will say that I think this. Actually, the way that Gray is taken down is almost kind of unceremonious too.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just the actor himself, but the fact that basically Jack just chloroforms him and goes, "Yep, I'll take care of you later," and drags him off set. It's like, come on.
I mean, you know.
Come on, this big mastermind who's been threatening everything for the last couple episodes, and he's just instantly chloroformed and out of the picture? Come on.
I mean, I guess at least it's not him allowing a gigantic monster to just feed off his endless lives and just explode.
I will grant it is a step up, but it's still no less silly. We just have Captain Jack grab chloroforming a guy and dragging him off set instead of a giant CG monster falling on its face in front of him. It's still silly. It's just a little less so.
All right.
And Randy.
So, I already told you what I didn't like about Fragments.
Elephant in the room.
No, not Exit Wounds. Fragments. Wanted it to
Fragments.
be linear.
Yeah.
Yep. What I didn't like about Exit Wounds, honest to God, you really don't deal with the trauma that Jack would have been inflicted on. If you think about this, imagine spending 2,000 years coming back to life and then suffocating to death within minutes.
And constantly back and forth, yeah.
Jack should have been freaking feral by the time they found him. It should have taken years of therapy
To get him back to working, yeah.
to get him functional. Not normal, functional. And they never deal with that. He just comes out of stasis and he's back to being Jack.
Yeah, they're not even out of stasis. They literally just pull him out of the ground and he's still happy old Jack. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's the one thing that bothers me is he should have been.
I mean, the centuries of constant agonizing pain should have at least done something to his head.
Because you got to remember, he dies, he revives like 5 minutes later. So he's dying, 12 times an hour, 24 hours a day, 365 to 66 days a year for 2,000 years. That is going to drive you absolutely nuts.
Even Kenny doesn't die that much.
Yeah. And they just never deal with it. So it's like, losing some sense of believability for me.
Yeah. It might have even just been like a matter of like, oh fuck, we've got that, we're this far into the episode, are we gonna have time to fit that in? Fuck it. We'll just shortcut it.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. But it bothers me because, yeah, it's one of those things that I didn't think should have been shortcut. Okay. So, favorite scene, and you get to choose one from each. And Tim, you're first.
Okay. This might sound morbid for me, but I really liked the pit and the pendulum glass hanging over Owen suspense scene. That sort of like gave it a lot of tension rather than just, oh, help me, I'm trapped and stuck. It was like there's a sense of urgency to that, and
Mind
I like
you,
the way it was just the way it was framed and shot.
Mind
too.
you, Owen haters are sitting there going, "Do it, do it, do it."
Despite being on a redemption run like almost all season.
Yes, the people that hate the character, the redemption run is still just going to be like, because they still don't like the character. They just don't like him. But yes.
But also, I would agree that was a particularly nice touch, especially given his current circumstances where we can't guarantee that would actually kill him. It would fuck him up possibly even more than he already is.
Well, no, it wouldn't. It would be hard because him being zombie, though. It would be. The problem is what happens when his body breaks down. And that's kind of been the issue is he can't heal. He takes damage, it doesn't heal.
Yeah.
So what happens when he's got a face full of glass shards or ends up decapitated? What the hell happens then? He's probably still alive and it's all the more fucked up for him.
Yep. Here, at least now he can take a semblance of being human, of still being human. He still looks like it. He can still walk down the street. But yeah,
if that would have hit him, that could have messed him up way more.
Yep. So, what about Exit Wounds?
Exit Wounds, I have a scene, but I have a feeling that it might be someone else's favorite scene, so I'll be generous and go with my second favorite scene. And that's, again, with Owen baiting the alien creature with the cigarettes.
You really are as dumb as you look.
Here you go. Look, oh, they're yummy. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I can imagine some tobacco exec seeing this and say, "That's a new way to market our product."
New Marlboros for Weevils. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, actually, no. What was that creature actually called again?
I can't remember the name.
yeah, I forget the name. It's like
Just a
Quaidle
second,
or
I have it
something
somewhere
like
here.
Oiks.
Mhm.
Oiks.
Like they live to eat. Like, do you have anything you can eat? You know, it's like, wait, it lives to eat. Doesn't that describe a lot of things? Or wait,
that. Well, yeah, I think the idea is it has like an insatiable thing, or it can just eat
Okay.
like a shit ton, like Goku levels of eating. Sort of thing.
Even
Yeah.
beyond that, it's like cross Goku with a
Yeah.
goat. It doesn't care what it's eating as long as it's eating.
As long as it seems
Yeah.
edible to the creature, yeah. Yeah, hoiks.
Mm.
Mhm.
Well, once you had the
Alright.
H, I knew the rest. But yeah, okay. So that was Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, Thomas. How about you?
Um.
From Fragments.
Let's see. God, it's hard because like it blends like so. God, I feel like I had one, but I just can't. Well, I can think. Oh well, I'll bring up my exit word. Remember the fragments one? I'll bring it up. Exit wounds. This is probably going to be someone else's, but at this point I don't care. And it is Toshiko's death. Because like it's actually interesting. I'm so tired that when I watched it earlier, it didn't affect me the way it did the first time I watched it. When I was watching it the first time, by then I was fully concentrating, but there were bits and pieces of the episode where I wasn't concentrating as much. Out of fucking nowhere, just the way that, I mean, like the last bit of dialogue she gets is just that she couldn't save Owen. And then from then on, it's people just being like, hey, don't die on me. And like the last thing she has is just like smiling at Jack and then just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
like
I
something,
don't think it was "Don't die on you." I think it's "I know she's going to die, but let's try to be reassuring."
yeah. Or I think it was more like Gwen. Like Gwen's like, stay with me or something to that effect. But Jack's more so just kind of holding her, but not saying anything. Um, and yeah, just like the look that those two have between each other and the sort of smile that Tosh has, just like something about it just like hit me really hard, and I was like, holy shit. I wasn't expecting anyone on this show like dying getting that kind of reaction from me. Especially because Owens didn't, to be honest. But yeah, like Tosh's death, like actually got like a couple of tears to come out.
All right. I have to
Um,
agree with you. That is a very it's a very emotional scene.
mm,
Choked me up when I saw it 10 years ago. Choked me up when I saw it today.
mm.
I'm serious. Tears and snot everywhere. It was not pleasant.
Yeah. I feel like if I'd rewatched this with like a decent amount of sleep, I probably would have had a more emotional reaction to my rewatch.
So that's it.
Yeah, can't. Yeah, like for the life of me, I can't.
Okay, Matt.
Fragment.
All right. So my favorite scene from Fragments is going to be let's lure the pterodactyl in with dark chocolate.
Here
Thank
you
you,
go. Got
Yanto.
your favorite. Yeah.
Thank you, Yanto. That totally worked. 10 out of 10. Jack will go flying again. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
All right. And from Exit Wounds?
Favorite scene from Exit Wounds. Oh gosh. You know what hit me? Harder than Tosh dying? Her goodbye message.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah,
Right in the ribs.
Fucking stole it.
that would have been my favorite, and I knew someone was
Someone's gonna have it, yep.
And the thing is, the stuff that she says to Jack in there, that stuff companions usually tell the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally the sign that despite all the bullshit that Jack puts up, he still has his good moments.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor has rubbed off on him in a positive way.
And then the next season occurs and goes to show he's a complete and total rat bastard.
Okay, you're just a dick, Jack. Bye. And special season number 4. And why are we here?
Okay, so now I have to think of a new one. Fuck you. Okay, so Fragments. My favorite scene, I think, would be I think the beginning, learning how basically Jack got started in Torchwood. And then and then for Exit Wounds, of course, my favorite scene, like I said, was the back and forth between Tosh and Owen before he died. The whole reference to, finally explaining why it was Tosh in Aliens of London, retconning that to be her covering him while he was hungover and not answering his phone. And it's like, that was the moment of, oh, that explains it.
Wasn't that the pig incident? Yeah, that was the pig incident. Gosh, that was weird to hear about that.
Space pig, yeah. The thing is, my brain just automatically, I thought, there was a whole scene there. My brain apparently just worked overtime filling in that entire story.
I think I actually have something for Fragments now as far as favorite scene goes, and that would be Owen punching the shit out of Jack. Just like full on running at him. Like,
you motherfucker! Boom!
Yeah, it's pretty clear Jack is just gonna let it happen because he knows what's gonna happen. He just
you could see the Owen rage in his eyes.
Yeah.
And then it just turns into him breaking down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jack is just like, let the healing begin. Oh.
All right. So now we go to our least favorite scenes, and Tim, you're first. One from each.
Favorite scenes.
Yes.
Well, I didn't really have a least favorite scene in Fragments, but I was curious that when they find Owen's fiance's body, and they say when the creature is attacked, it emits a gas, and then that one line, it dissipates quickly. Like, I wonder, did they was that ad-libbed or thought of at the last minute? Because wait, how are they breathing? Oh, the gas is gone already. Like, move on, sort of thing. Like, and like,
I personally wouldn't linger on too long, and it wouldn't be surprised if it dissipated quickly. It's, I guess, just logical due to what's going on in the scene.
again, like, that's not really a least favorite scene, but it's just something.
Just yeah, just an eyebrow raise. Yeah.
Eyebrow raise. My least favorite scene in Exit Wounds was Gwen's completely less than inspiring speech to the troops. That now is the time we find out how good we are. Knock on doors. Tell people we're doing things. That's hardly they may take our lives, but or it's our time. It's our time down here. That's all over the day when we go up Troy's bucket.
I find that particularly funny reference because I was wearing my Goonies shirt this weekend.
You know, like in the list of like inspiring TV and movie speeches, this doesn't make the cut at all.
Wah.
Yeah, but then again, she's not trying to inspire troops. She's trying to inspire a bunch of cops to go basically let people try to reassure the population.
Yeah.
Get out on the street and get to their jobs and try and keep people as calm as freaking possible.
Just so a riot doesn't break out or panic in general.
Oh, it's already too late for panic, but to prevent rioting and other crazy shit, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you
looting and
you
stuff.
wonder what would be happening, in a town where just, what was it, like 15 bombs go off?
Yeah.
Supposedly 15 bombs go off and cut off all the major roads, and then like several hours later, all of a sudden, all the weevils come out of nowhere.
The speech was pre-Weevil.
Yeah, it was pre-Weevil, but it's still counters in later. Just like, oh shit, what kind of town do we live in?
It's kind of like the ultimate shitty J for Gwen, really. All right.
Okay. God, least favorite from
Yes,
Fragments.
Thomas, your least favorite.
I guess by virtue of it, like, making the episode seem like such a shit, we were supposed to write a two-parter thing, I'd go with, like, John Hart's appearance at the end of Fragments, because it's just like, oh, okay, so that's what makes this a two-parter, is that he was behind the bombs that got set off.
That is the segue, yes. It is what made us have to rate this together instead of separately, because it was
too attached. Yeah,
it was too attached. Yep.
Yeah.
Unless if you cut off the backstories, I could have seen where you could easily squeeze these two episodes together.
Well, hell, like, yeah, with like the backstories, it's just like that could almost be its own thing, where like someone's just tried to. I mean, it would still probably need to be followed up. It was like, well, who did this? But it's still like, it just feels like the episode is more so much about the backstories that the fact that it's like, hey, here's this setup for the next episode. Like, oh, okay, the episode's over. Like, at first I was legitimately like, wait, that's it? It's like, oh wait, it's a two-parter. And as far as Exit Wounds goes, I guess for lack of anything else and like one very obvious choice, I'll just go with like pretty much any of the interactions between Andy and Reese. Because it feels like some of them feel a bit forced, like they're just there to lighten the episode, but the jokes don't really land. Maybe just because I'm not from the UK, and like some of the jokes seem very UK specific. So
That could
it's
be.
like,
It could be a regional thing. Yeah.
yeah. So it's just like, I don't. Am I supposed to get that joke? I don't. Yeah.
I can get some of it because I've gleaned enough off of like watching enough UK stuff.
Mm.
Too bad I haven't quite got grip on the accent yet. Then
Well,
again, there's like 5 accents in that country right now.
more like 15.
Yeah, I was gonna say pretty much every region has.
Just
Every
about.
region has an accent on top of received pronunciation, which nobody really speaks, but everybody everybody that's theatrically trained knows how to speak.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a ton of stuff. But then again, you think about it, the U.S. is no different.
Mm.
I mean, we've got, the Midwestern accent right next to the Great Plains accent, which is right next to the Great Lakes accent, which,
And we're all right above that the huge Southern accent
actually the Southern accent can be broken up into Northern Southern,
and
Eastern
deep Southern.
and
Yeah.
Western Southern. Because you've got basically that Tennessee, Kentucky, which has more of that twang. And then, of course, you've got the Georgia accent, which sounds a little bit like the Alabama accent, but the Alabama accent's a little flatter. And then you've got the Florida, which is the hodgepodge of every freaking accent ever, because that's where all the old people go.
That's where all the Americans retire, folks.
But, then you go up and you've got the Eastern Seaboard accent, the Central Eastern, then you get up to the 5 accents that are in New York.
Yeah, doesn't every region of New York have an accent? Let's ask Tim. Tim?
New York.
Yeah, like, doesn't like every major region of New York have an accent up over there?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Like, or it's like, it goes from block to block, I think.
Block to block. Ta-da!
Because I know you got your Brooklyn accent, you got your Bronx accent.
Yeah. And then across the river in Jersey.
Jersey.
Oh, yeah, Jersey, yeah. There are no ahs in Jersey. I learned how to speak a Jersey accent ages ago. Just make sure to repress every R in there by going oi instead. Yeah.
I do know that, or I've read that Queens is the most linguistically diverse place in the world.
I'd believe it.
And then, you go into these regions and, not only that, but the accents also change by your racial subculture. Like, the Southern accent, you've got white Southern, and then you've got, African American Southern, and the accent, and they sound completely different.
Oh, completely different, yeah.
And then, of course, you've got Latino accents for places that have a large Latino community, and those vary from place to place too.
Just about.
Then, of course, in Louisiana, you got the Cajun accents and the Creole accent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, there's like probably 100 different accents or dialects in the United States. Britain has the exact same problem. And lessons that British television finally learned is not everybody from the United States sounds like they're from Texas. Either they sound like they're from Texas or they sound like they're from New York. And it's like, no. First of all, that New York accent's about 20 years out of date.
Yeah, see?
And the only people that sound like that in Texas are fucking rednecks.
That is from Southern Texas.
So, yeah, it's a huge difference. And what were we talking about?
I don't know how we got the accents.
I think we were talking about
It started with like my thing was that there were certain like regional jokes.
Oh, the
that I
regional
wasn't
jokes, yeah.
really necessarily landing for me.
Oh yeah, I can tell you how weird it is. I've been reading a lot of fan fiction, by the way. To hear Draco Malfoy in a Harry Potter fan fiction yell at someone to get a shift on. I'm like, wait, what? No. He's never sounded like he's from the north.
From North.
So it's
It
like
could
my
be
brain
worse. They could have tried to write him with a Cockney accent.
Oh God, I've
Throw it
I've
out.
actually-
Just throw it all out. Start from the beginning.
I've seen that. I hate it. But anyway, but the fact is that the only reason I knew Get a Shift On was from series 10 of Doctor Who. It's like, okay, so I know, and they actually mention the origin of that phrase, and it comes from basically Yorkshire, and yeah. So I'm like, wait, what? No. Yeah, it just,
Well.
yeah.
Anyway, so that's the end of Thomas. So I assume that's me now.
Yep.
Least favorite about Fragments. Here's a good question. How could you not tell that an alien on a woman's brain was not a tumor?
It's not a tumor.
Let's just wait for that. It's not a tumor.
At all.
It's an alien. Kill it now.
Well, they didn't even realize it was a tumor until a moment ago. It's like,
Yeah, that's like
before that, that's like early onset Alzheimer's. Do another scan.
How
Okay,
inept are these doctors in Owen's memory? Anyway.
I mean, it's also like, I think the idea is that it could camouflage itself or something like that.
I'm still having a hard time buying that one. Especially when it's just a organism.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no, that's what it was. Is that it was growing out of her brain or something.
Mm-hmm.
Still, you would have thought it would have caught something sooner, but anyway. Least favorite thing about Exit Wounds. Least favorite moment, rather. Trying to think which one to go with. I'll go with the oh gosh, I'm having a hard time to pick which one I want to go with. How about the most obvious trap in the world, where we have a bunch of open cells, 3 people walk into all 3 cells, and instantly the doors lock behind them. Duh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Where do you think the Weevils came from? Gray must have let them out. Do you think he's still down there? No. Clunk, clunk, clunk.
Yes.
We've been rused.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where it's like, wait a minute, no. Obvious trap. Okay, so my least favorite scenes. For Fragments, I believe it's the scene actually where Toshiko has to turn in the device. And it's only because I didn't recognize her as being Toshiko. And there was so much dialogue between her and her mother spoken in Japanese that was not translated. So it's like, what are you saying? I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know that much Japanese. I caught about 3 words there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure literally the only word I can.
You cut off there. You said the only word you could.
Like the only word that I remember picking up was Zarkas.
Oh, I caught that one, but no, a little bit of the babbling dialogue her mother says, I caught like 2 words of it, but they weren't enough to string together any coherent what she's saying. But So my least favorite scene from Exit Wounds. I think it's basically most of the 45 AD scene. Just I don't know. It just hits me as being lackluster.
We just filmed this out in a field.
Yeah.
This is totally
And I
gonna be
guess there's
Cardiff
also
someday.
the thing that, yeah, it's also the thing that they put up the Cardiff 27 AD, and then later have John Hart say that in dialogue. It's like, well, you could have just not put the card up to tell us what time period it is.
In case you
And just
folks
let him
at
say
home
it
don't
in
remember,
dialogue.
we're also gonna say when we are. Makes
That
me
would
want
have.
to eat my beard.
Yeah. The fact is, though, that Cardiff is based on a delta. You can't tell me that there was absolutely nobody around. And yeah, it was just kind of
Yeah, that'd be very coincidental,
mhm.
methinks. Even at that point.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so that was my thought, as it just felt the whole scene. Then Gray shows up and it becomes even more lackluster.
Yeah. I guess it's probably a good thing we'd already mentioned the rag bit before, because no one mentioned that, surprisingly. Where Jack knocks out Gray
Yeah.
with the chloroform or whatever it is.
Yeah, that was my least favorite earlier. Yeah, the most uneventful snuffing out of an enemy. Matter of fact, it
It
was so
was
uneventful I actually missed it the first time. I went, "Wait, what the hell just happened?" Reverse. Fuck me.
and before we go on, I'm going to mention something I mentioned before the stream to Tim. Knowing now in hindsight what Russell T Davies had planned for season 3, it's pretty obvious why he decided to kill Toshiko and Owen.
Oh.
Well, we knew, like I said, we know now, based on what he said after he stepped down, that he was planning on having season 3 add Mickey and Martha.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, who'd he kill off? The medic. Well, gee, Martha Jones, Dr. Martha Jones.
Yep.
And gee, Mickey's the computer tech guy. Think about all of his appearances. And he basically hacks the computers. He took over the Who is the Doctor website after Clive got killed. Yeah, so he's basically the computer tech guy.
He literally helped hack Cybermen.
Yes. So he would have been basically taking Toshiko's job. And so looking at it now, it's obvious that's what was thinking of. But when this happened, we never saw it. We're just like, no,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And at that same time, it almost seems like I have a feeling. I mean, I haven't assuming John knows.
You're cutting in and out a lot. Like we're catching half sentences here.
Okay, it's not just me then.
No. Like I think you need to fix your detection or something.
Yeah, I'll drop out real quick and
I
if I can
don't
sort
know
it
that I'll
out.
fix it, but I'll give it a try at least. I don't know, maybe he's been really monotone or something today. I don't know. Or maybe he's sitting too far away from the mic. I'm not sure what his mic setup is.
I don't know. Can't tell you. Anyway.
Just barely
Now
heard you. Hi.
I'm back.
So you were saying?
Oh yeah, like I'm assuming John Hart wasn't in Children of Earth or Miracle Day.
Correct.
Yeah, I feel like if there'd been a traditional Series 3, I'm going by this, I feel like he would have come back. Probably
Probably.
wouldn't have been like a member of the team. Or like maybe if they led to like a redemption arc, sort of like Missy got, maybe it would be something like that. But I could have seen him coming back for the next season to like redeem it, like continue the redemption stuff.
Possibly for an episode or two, but it would have been a side episode, not part of the main.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go on to our final thoughts. And Tim, you're first.
Final thoughts. I thought Fragments was a better episode than Exit Wounds. And if we're still doing the
We can do some
thing.
comparison and final thoughts. Yes.
Comparisons, that's I thought that the issues in Fragments were mainly like just continuity and timing things, whereas the issues in Exit Wounds came down to just performances. Like there were some great performances, some not, some bad performances, and some okay performances. Overall, I thought Owen and Tosh both got sweet and bittersweet send-offs that really worked,
Okay.
as well as the idea of Jack's introduction to Torchwood was nice. I wish I could have watched those two bitchy women who recruited him get old and die, but like sort instead of like flash forwarding to like when they're already gone, But what can you do? So this was a pretty cool episode, story altogether, I think.
All right. Anything else?
I'm good. Mm.
All right.
It's very like, to me, I would say the easiest way to sum up this two-parter is that this is a better series finale than series 1 had. Generally. And I would actually also argue that the way these episodes, or at least more so Exit Wounds and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, were handled, I would argue that is a better version of whatever Chibnall was trying to do with Series 11 of Doctor Who. Because I don't know if anyone else got that vibe, but it's a matter of we have a character we see as a villain in episode 1 coming back in the last episode of the series.
Yeah, it's a
and
Chibnall thing.
Yeah. And it just was like, this really is kind of that, but done a lot better. I mean, it also helped that it had a lot more consequences, which is one of the things I genuinely liked about this, is that the story actually had lasting, like, permanent consequences, other than just, fucking with them mentally.
You mean
It also
people
had,
could
like,
fucking die?
yeah. Whereas,
unlike the Stephen Moffat era of Doctor Who, where people didn't die, they just went to the happy place and had their happily ever after.
Yeah. I mean, like, you don't have to have Torchwood levels of deaths. Like, it works in this. You wouldn't be able to do literally this in Doctor Who, but it shows that, it's so long, especially because we've known Toshiko and Owen for these full 2 series. So, it actually has some weight to it as well, whereas if they'd been killed off before now, or in series 1, it wouldn't have had anywhere near the same amount of impact that it would that it has now. And like, I really wish this had got a proper follow-up. I mean, I haven't seen Children of Earth. I haven't seen Miracle Day. I will watch them at some point. But I think I'll take a break from Torchwood for now. Because I'm a bit burnt out on it.
Oh, yeah, we just had several episodes in a row. Yeah.
And not to mention, I watched
Yeah,
every
you've
episode
seen
of series
all
1
the
and
episodes
2.
for the first time now.
Yeah.
Oh, so you've
And,
watched
like,
2 full series of Torchwood.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I like last week on the night before, I marathoned most of series 2 to get to Adrift, so I could watch it, because I like accidentally ended up holding off on it for too long, and it was like, oh shit, if I don't do that now, I won't be able to watch them in case there's context that I'm missing. Of course, it turns out later, oh wait, no, probably didn't have to, but oh well. I feel like the only, like, if people would want to do like a best of Torchwood thing, I would definitely lump more so for Exit Wounds, but I feel like you'd still kind of have to watch Fragments for context. But I would, as a coupled up thing, I would probably say that people could watch this, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and Countryside and Adrift would be like the ones that I would point people to. But I would probably get them to watch like the majority of Torchwood before watching these, just because the impact of Toshiko and Owen leaving dying just has a hell of a lot more impact if you've seen like the entirety of them up to this point. But yeah, I would definitely recommend people check this out.
All right. Matt?
I'm gonna do these individually for the most part. Fragments is a fairly solid episode. It is sadly an episode that contains like 1/5 current story plot, and the rest of it is literally all flashbacks. That being said, these flashbacks are something that needed to happen. It's only a shame it didn't happen sooner. And it does also help, I guess, in the immediate point of helping build these characters up one more big time before we go into the final episode of the season. So then moving from that to Exit Wounds. Exit Wounds has some minor flaws, much like the ending of last season, but they're nowhere near as big and nowhere near as disappointing as the previous season's ending. That being said, there is still some head-tilting stuff that just goes, kind of really? But then it's once again offset by a lot of really good stuff going on. In particular, not just Eve Miles gets to act, but John Barrowman gets some big acting moments as Captain Jack. Also, Owen and Toshiko and Yanto are also all given some pretty good moments to act with in this particular finale. And we get some sort of comeuppance with John Hart as well. And he decides that he's going to linger a bit, but he's not going to be breathing down Jack's neck the entire time. Which might be a good thing for him, too. So overall, an improvement over the previous year, but still not perfection, sadly. That's
All
my
right.
basic feeling on the two.
Okay, so now we're up to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Fragments, I thought was good. Not the greatest good. I think it would have been better if those flashbacks had been broken up over a few episodes instead of getting them force-fed to us, because it left little time for plot development.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, if you took out the flashbacks, the entire story could have been done in about 10 minutes.
Yep.
Which takes us to Exit Wounds. Exit Wounds other than some fail acting by Gray, Exit Wounds is actually very good. It has some very emotional moments, some good send-offs, and a storyline that you can believe until you find out who the real bad guy is, and then you're just like, why am I caring?
Because generic evil brother.
Generic evil brother, yes. I mean, at least they could have got somebody that could have emo boy primed it. If somebody had gone for the ham, that I could have gone for that. That either emo boy primed it or jokered it or something. But who they had was just so.
At least Jeremy irons it.
Was so freaking bland. It was not even funny.
I hear that reaction.
So he drags down the final few bits, other than the final goodbye to the others. But other than that, I thought everything else was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to the ratings. We are going to do, because the fact that you cannot watch one without the other, a combined rating. And I know for many of you, one drags down the other or vice versa, but still, take it, average it out.
So,
yes, when you're ready, Tim.
Ready? When all is said and done, yes?
Give me just a moment.
Okay.
I'm having a slight technical issue.
Oh?
Yeah.
A wee technical issue, lad.
My browser's frozen.
Your browser's frozen. Oh, put it on the fire. Put it on the fire, lad.
Okay, Tim.
Oh yeah, Chrome is now not responding, so give me a moment to close it, reopen it.
Chrome has failed. Would you like to send an error report?
Stick Chrome in the microwave and hit frappe.
I'm still wondering where on earth this is coming from, Tim.
I don't know. The talk about accents a few minutes ago got me thinking.
Do you want me to do my Irish accent? It's literally me copying the voice of a Irish YouTuber.
Oh.
Hello.
I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be offending people in Ireland. Then again, are we actually watched in Ireland? I don't know.
I don't know. Still thought he is like the greatest Irish YouTuber. I don't care.
Well,
the other
Flame
two.
mail can be sent to Mad Matt.
For what it's worth, my people come from Ireland, and I'm cool with it.
I guess while we're stalling for time, I will bring up something else I forgot to mention, which is this is another example of it's like, wow, this is the same guy who did the more mediocre episodes of Series 11 Doctor Who, but here he's able to handle sci-fi better. And I do wonder if it really is just the restriction of a family show that's holding him back at all.
I'm wondering also if he just doesn't quite get changing sci-fi depending upon time era as well as just keeping it in one spot.
Yeah, that might also help.
I'm thinking that's the big thing is that he has to have a bigger imagination. He doesn't know how to quite handle it.
I mean, yeah, like everything in Torchwood set in one place, and then you've got Broadchurch is the show that he had done, which wasn't even sci-fi at all, but
he was really popular, at least in Britain, and did a really good job. Yeah, and it was all set more or less in one town in one time frame.
One town, yeah. And generally, I mean, hell, he's still responsible for one of my least favorite episodes of New Who in general, The Power of Three, which is the first that I was vocally
that was a
angry
highly
about.
mediocre episode.
Yeah.
Not the first I was angry at, but...
No, it was just highly mediocre.
I mean,
like The Power of Three, for me, I believe got a 3, didn't it? Just mediocre.
So, Tim, you ready for that rating now? Because I've got the spreadsheet open.
Yes, I'm ready for that rating, and I think this whole thing averages out to 3.5.
Okay,
Oof.
3.5. Thomas.
It's funny. If I was going based on my first watch, I probably would have given this a 5, but having rewatched, I'd probably knock it down a bit to. Oh god, I'm gonna be generous and give it a 4.5.
4.5. Okay, Matt.
Speaking of which, you reminded me earlier, Thomas, of another tidbit I wanted to spread, which was that this episode was the second time actually, that a person got into all 3 Doctor Who shows for Modern Who. Paul Mark, in this episode, in this particular duology, played one of the robed Grim Reaper looking guys.
Ah.
He was also in Utopia as one of the chieftain of the Future Kind. And he was in Sarah Jane Adventures as the trickster.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. He's the second person to pull the threesome.
Anyway, Matt, can you
But
give your rating?
as for the
4
rating,
minutes left.
as for the rating, that would be a 4.5.
4.5. Okay. I am going to give it a 4. Because I believe one was a 4.5 and the other one was a 3.5, so it averages out. Which gives us an average of 4.1. Yeah, 4.1. Data sort. Rating. And 4.1 will put this at number 102 out of 288. It is on par with Army of Ghosts Doomsday, Doctor Who and the Curse of Fatal Death, Mummy on the Orient Express, End of Days, so it's right there with the last season's finale, Under the Lake Before the Flood, State of Decay, Death to the Daleks, The Girl Who Died, Closing Time, It Takes You Away, The Pilot, The Daemons, and Oxygen. It
And
is
we'll
better
come back next week to find that Bill pushes this episode down.
if he has the ratings for it.
Mm-hmm.
It is better than Rose, Planet of the Spiders, Destiny, or Co-Owner of a Lonely Heart, Castrovalva, The Invisible Enemy, etc., and is not as good as Gridlock, The Time Meddler, Bad Wolf, Parting of the Ways, Legopolis, Inferno, etc. So there we go. 102 out of, I think at this point, 288 things reviewed. That's all we have to say about Torchwood, Fragments, Exit Wounds. Matt, would you like to take us out?
Certainly. So, hello everyone. Thank you for enjoying the show. And don't forget, if you would like to find out more about us, you can find us on YouTube at Unearthly Podcast. You can find our live stream channel on Twitch at Unearthly Podcast. And if you just want to find out about us on social media, you can find us on Twitter at Unearthly Pod, on Facebook at Unearthly Podcast. And if you do so enjoy our shows so much that you want to spend a shilling or two on us, you can always check out Patreon at An Unearthly Podcast.
All right, next week it will be the conclusion of the Cranium of Chibnall with the final ep that we have yet to review. Mind you, we did Power of 4 when it came out.
Power 3.
Or Power 3, yes. We are going back from Torchwood to Doctor Who to Series 5, beginning of the Moffat era, with The Hungry Earth, Cold Blood. Written by Chris Chibnall and starring Matt Smith as the Doctor, Karen Gillan as Amy Pond, and Arthur Darvill as Roy Williams. So we shall see you next week with our conclusion to the current series, or the current season of Unearthly Podcast.
4, 3, sir, 3! Good night.
And if Bill can't make it, screw him.